Everybody, Jim Masters here once again with another guest, a celebrated guest and a celebrated actress and a beloved figure on television and in film. Charlotte Stewart is returning to the Jim Masters Show exclusively. She has a fabulous array of things to share with us, updates and special surprises, and a cast reunion with everybody from Little House on the Prairie that's getting together as well. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Jim Masters, once again, and a real pleasure and privilege to have you with us and to have Charlotte with us as well. Of course, everybody remembers her as the beloved Miss Beadle. She was really that person that everybody fell in love with on that series. She was so warm and loving and caring with all of the pupils in class. And she ran, a beautiful classroom, and everybody remembers this fondly. And I've heard so much from so many people talking about, oh, it's Miss Beadle, it's Miss Beadle. We loved Miss Beadle on Little House on the Prairie. Well, Miss Beadle has had her roller skates on because she has been traveling all around the country with the cast of Little House on the Prairie as they've been celebrating their over 50 years on television, which is unbelievable. But of course, as she played Miss Beadle before that, she was a celebrated actress in so many areas of life on television and film, in so many shows, beloved shows, and wonderful productions. There she is. I love that shot of Charlotte Stewart. I got a chance to actually, she's been a guest on our show a couple of times. We always have a wonderful time, and you guys love when Charlotte is with us, and we appreciate that. And all the cast from Little House on the Prairie that's been here, and more to come as well. But I got a chance to meet Miss Beadle, Charlotte Stewart, a brilliant actress and a wonderful person, very warm and fun and compassionate. At one of the events, Little House on the Prairie events, I went up to the event in New England, in Connecticut, and I didn't want to tell any of the cast that I was coming. I didn't want to tell Allison Orngrim, Dean Butler, Wendy Lou Lee, the Steffen sisters. I didn't want to tell Charlotte Stewart or anybody that was there. I wanted to surprise all of them. So I did. So when they saw me waiting in the lines with everybody else, and I'm talking about lines of people that wanted to see them and take photos with them and just be with them and share their memories with each of the cast that were at the event, it was amazing. And Charlotte and all of the cast stayed there for every last person. Every last person. And that's the kind of people they are. And Charlotte and I got a chance to get together, and there we are. And she recognized me. And of course, I knew who she was. And she's like, Jim, come on over here. Come on. And it was wonderful. And she's such a delight. And if you ever want to know the people that you see on television, and I work in television too, and radio, as you guys know, so I'm one of those broadcasters as well. You want to know, do these people match up to what you see on television? Are they really as nice and friendly and warm and compassionate and funny as what you see on television? Charlotte is, and then some. She's really a beautiful person. I can go on about her because I think she's just a real delight, and she's a celebrated and skilled and expert actress. I mean, she's amazing at what she does, but she's a really nice person, and she's right here for me and for you on the Jim Masters Show. Charlotte, welcome back to the show. It's a
Good
pleasure.
morning.
How are you?
I'm really good, really good.
Good
It's
morning.
raining here in Napa where I live.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. In fact, it's
Uh,
supposed to pour for the next 3 or 4 days. So I'm hunkering down in my sewing room, getting work done.
Yeah, she's always in that sewing room, folks.
Yes, I am.
Last time we had her on, she was in the sewing room. Yeah, so good morning, good afternoon, good evening, where everybody is, because we have folks watching around the world. Evening here in the New York area on the East Coast. But what are you sewing? Are you making things for the holidays? What's the current project right now, Charlotte?
In fact, I have one right here. I make what we call beetle bags after Miss Beadle, and it's a tote bag with pictures from Little House on the Prairie. And that's one of Ma. Let me get it out here. That's one of Ma. And I sew every day. and they're practical, they're useful, and they're fun souvenirs.
When did you learn to start sewing? I don't know if I ever asked you that. Were
Oh
you
my gosh.
a young girl?
I'm glad you asked that because when I was growing up, I was a competitive roller skater. Because in Yuba City, where I grew up, Yuba City, California, um, there was a skating rink. And my father took me there when I was in the fourth grade, and I started taking lessons. And I went into competition, and I skated in competition until I graduated from high school. And you know what it is? It's a lot of showing off. It's ta da! All the time on roller skates. So that was my introduction to showbiz in a way. And I had such fun doing it. But there was no place to buy the little skating costumes. So my mother and my sister taught me to sew. And I got to make my own little costumes. And that's where I started sewing. And then when I moved to Hollywood, I opened a store called the Liquid Butterfly, and I made cowboy shirts and skirts and dresses, and that's what I did. Yep.
That is so fantastic. You're so creative. So then, as you were doing that, and the roller skating, is that something that you did throughout your life? Did you continue to do it? And
No, I skated until I graduated from high school. I was 17, and then I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Um, my grades weren't very good out of high school, so all my friends were going away to college. The big colleges, UCLA and Berkeley. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I saw an advertisement in People magazine for the Pasadena Playhouse. And I sent away for an application, and I filled it out, and I signed my mother's name and sent it off, and I got accepted. And then I told my mother, and she said, "What? What were you thinking?" And I said, "Well, I want to get out of town. I want to go. I guess I want to be an actress." Well, total shock to my whole family. But you know what? Deep down, I think I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I was a bit of a show off anyway, and it turned out to be a good choice for me because I got my first job when I was 19 with Loretta Young. I don't know if any of you know who Loretta Young was, but she was
oh,
a big
sure.
movie star,
Yeah.
and she was one of the first movie stars that had a television series called The Loretta Young Show. And I started there and I went into television, and I just, I don't know if you have a list of my credits there, but I did everything, My Three Sons, Bachelor Father, all the series that were on television. And then I got Little House on the Prairie later on and was on that for a while. And I worked until I turned 65 and I retired. So now I'm in Napa, retired, and I've never been busier in my whole life.
Especially with all these reunions, the cast reunions, and all these events.
Absolutely.
Could you
That's
imagine that all these years later, there would be such a love for your character and all of the characters on this beloved series of Little
absolutely.
House on the Prairie? I mean, it's been absolutely amazing celebrating this series, and we've had so many wonderful folks that have been joining us. Jennifer Donati was on recently with us here on the show, and we had Allison Arngrim, of course, and Dean Butler. Karen Grassley has been with us here on the show. Victor and Tracy French have been with us as well. We have Rachel and Sydney Greenbush joining us, and
Right.
so many others all coming together. Uh, it's really a beautiful thing to have fans come up to you in the way that they do and pour out their heart about how important this series was and how important you and the others were to them in their lives, right?
Well, so many of them grew up with us. So many of our fans were children when they started watching us. Remember, it was on 50 years ago, and it was very unusual to have that kind of following, on television because it wasn't like we repeated a lot. You're on once a week. and maybe the following week they'll watch again another episode. But it wasn't like now where you can turn onto a channel and watch, 10 episodes in one day. It was one time a week. So we had a lot of followers for many, many, many years.
Absolutely, and still do. What are some of the things that you hear from them? Is there a running theme of what they say, or
Oh,
is
absolutely,
there
absolutely.
is?
They, of course, being Miss Beadle on Little House, they wanted, their teacher to be like Miss Beadle. But of course, Michael Landon wrote most of the scripts, not all of them, but most of them. And he had such a touch for family values. He was a wonderful father himself. He had a lot of children. And he worked so beautifully with children, especially the young actors, who, um, if you watch them work together, they were just fascinated by Michael. And he would tell them, what he wanted them to do in every scene. And they adored him, well, didn't we all?
Yes, absolutely. What was it like on set? What was the atmosphere like? Everybody says it was like a family, and of
It
course,
was.
sometimes there was some pranks that happened too, and
Oh,
some
with
fun
Michael, yeah,
things.
you never know what was going to
No, no.
happen with Michael. But, of course, being the teacher, the only part of the set that I was on was in the schoolroom. So I got to know these children, these young actors, when they were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. They grew up with me. I mean, look at that, Melissa Gilbert and Allison Arnhem and Jonathan Gilbert. They were just children there. But the big thing was they were so professional. They didn't fool around. They came to work on time. They knew their lines. They knew what they were supposed to do, and they followed direction. They were, even though they were young, they were professional. This is what they did for a living when they were 8, 9 years old. Can you imagine?
Right, exactly, and that's exactly what Michael Landon really hoped for, and
Mhm.
also, he would be really taken back, I think, by all of the outpouring of continued love for the characters, for the whole scenario of all these episodes, all these years that Little House on the Prairie ran, and reruns too, even all the way down to the David Rose composed theme song, that when people would
Yes.
hear that, they knew what to expect and how wonderful the series was going to be. I would imagine Michael Landon would be really humbled by all of it, huh?
Yes, I think so. But in my heart, I think he knew exactly what he was doing. And I believe that what the story that I heard was it was his daughter, Leslie, that brought him the book and said, Dad, I think you'll like this. I think this will appeal to you. And he immediately saw the value of making a television series of this story of a little girl in the prairie. That it was right up his alley. He knew exactly what to do. So, we were on for 9 years, and then he moved on to, some other stories in a more modern venue. But he knew exactly what he was looking for and did such a good job. And you should see when the children were working with him, they just adored him. And they all came to work on time. They knew their lines. They were professional actors, and fun to be with too. Those kids were fun.
You could tell because it really did seem like a family. It really seemed
It
like it was
was. Yes, it
something
was.
that
Yeah.
was very, very special, and, in so many different ways. And of course, Victor French
Oh,
was,
Victor French. We
uh,
love Victor so much.
wasn't he something? And then he went
He
on
was a
to,
rascal. He
he
was just a
was.
rascal.
He wa and he, of course, we had, Tracy and Victor, his kids, on, and, they were talking about, the relationship, the friendship that he had with Michael Landon. Of course, then they
Yeah.
moved on to Highway to Heaven, which was another
Hmm.
successful
Hmm.
series as well. But even before the incredible role that is so beloved of Miss Beadle on Little House on the Prairie, for you, you had already been, like you said, a celebrated actress on so many different levels and so many different shows and productions. Like you mentioned, the Loretta Young Show, and also Bonanza, The Office, Twin
Mhm.
Peaks as well. Prolific TV commercial actress, notable film appearances, and Eraserhead. You know, there's a whole genre cult following of people that know you from Little House on the Prairie, but then they'll say, "Oh my God, she was also an Eraserhead."
Eraserhead, and that was
Isn't
a phenomenon when it came out. That was David Lynch's first film, and it was quite controversial. It was a black and white film and a very kind of odd story of a young couple with a baby that wasn't quite sure that it was a baby. You know, I don't know how your audience is going to go with that if they haven't seen Eraserhead, but it was fabulous working with in David, and he became a phenomenon in television. He went on with so many other series and movies and all kinds of films. I'm very proud that I got to work with him in his first film when he was a student. It was a very odd time to be working with a student because the only time they could work was late at night because they had school. They had to go to the American Film Institute. So we would shoot all night long sometimes. And I remember one day I also had a part on the Waltons. In fact, it was the pilot episode of the Waltons. And I had worked all night long with David Lynch. And I had to show up at Warner Brothers at 6 o'clock in the morning to do a part on the Waltons, and I was a blithering idiot. It was I don't know how I did it, but in those days you did things that you would work in anything, and of course I would always do a student film because how are student directors going to learn to direct if they're not working with professional actors? So I would always work with student directors. It was fun, and oh man, what a time! What a time that was.
when people come up to you, do they still see you as Miss Beadle? Do they still
Yeah.
talk to you in a way like you are Miss Beadle? Like they don't come charging towards you. They're like, "That's Miss
Well, they're
Beadle."
very respectful. They're very respectful. And I travel a lot with my husband, who is and I'll spell it if you want, a meteoriticist. He does work with meteorites, rocks from space. So we
Yeah.
do gem and mineral shows, and then people come up and say, "Wait a minute, I know you." And I'll say, "Well, maybe you've seen, Little House on Oh, you're Miss Beadle. So it's still there. It's still there.
It's really amazing. And again, like you said, almost 52 years and the events that have happened, the lines are a mile long and
Oh
people
yeah, they're
fly
out the
from
door.
across the
Yeah.
country to
Yeah.
see you guys, to pour their
And
hearts
we're
out.
we're more than willing to wait for them. We so appreciate that the honor they give us by saying, gosh, I remember when I watched you with my grandmother. Of course you did.
Everybody did, right? Everybody
Yeah.
did. You know, um, it really is amazing when you do look at your incredible body of work, even beyond Little House on the Prairie, as I was mentioning too. And you were also in My Three Sons, absolutely.
That
And
was my first husband, Tim
Tim
Considine,
Considine,
on My
that's
Three
right.
Sons was my first husband.
Exactly. And he's watching right now in spirit. Of course, we've had Stanley Livingston and Tina Cole and Barry
Yeah.
Livingston as guests on our show, and they're all fabulous.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was it like working on that episode deadline of My Three Sons? What was that feeling like? Was
That was
Fred
the first
McMurray and
Yeah, that was the first episode I did. And I was working in the high school newspaper room with Beau Bridges. That was Beau Bridges' first ever acting part. And I remember helping him rehearse his lines. That was, we were 19, 20 years old, you know? And Fred McMurray, my mouth fell open when I met Fred McMurray. But in those days, he only worked when he had scenes in the show. He only did like parts of 3 shows at a time, and then we wouldn't see him for a month. That's, I guess, if you're the star of the show, you get away with that.
that's what Stanley Livingston said. There was something in the contract, kind of like what William Frawley had with I Love Lucy. Whenever the New York Yankees were in the playoffs, he wouldn't be in those episodes because
That's
he
right.
had season tickets and or tickets at least to go to the playoffs. And Lucy and Desi said, okay, that's a good
Yeah.
arrangement. He
Yeah.
wanted to root on his team.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Well,
for
if you're a
folks,
big star, you can make all your own
you
concessions,
can do that.
Yeah.
Exactly right. I want to make mention for our audience just some of the things that'll bring back a memory. I know we're talking about Little House on the Prairie, but she was in the D and the Slender Thread Doctor. You've got to be kidding. This is back in 1967. The Girl with the Hungry Eyes, Speedway, The Cheyenne Social Club, Eraserhead.
Speedway was with Elvis. I got to work 2
Yes.
days with Elvis Presley. I
Now
know.
we're going to have
Oh
to
my
do a close up on you on that. Now tell us about working with Elvis.
Oh, Elvis, I liked him so much. Of course, I was speechless. I was 23, 24 years old at the time. I had just married Tim Considine. Elvis had just married Priscilla. So we just had a couple of scenes together, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, I know, I'll invite Elvis and Priscilla for dinner. We're all newlyweds. And then I thought, what am I thinking? I can't invite Elvis to my house for dinner. It was just, but that was me. That's me. I should have done it, huh? Could do it.
Well,
They probably would have driven up to my little tiny house in Laurel Canyon in a great big limousine or something. I don't know what I was thinking. But I
and
gotta have to tell you, he was the sweetest guy, and he
yeah,
spent a lot of time with me when we weren't shooting. They have to reset all the lights every time they cut a scene. So he pulled up a chair next to his, and he told me all about his mother, Gladys, and what it was like when she died. And he was in the army, and they wouldn't let him come home. And all this time, he's holding my hand and telling me about his mom. And all I could think of was, holy moly, Elvis is holding my hand.
and I'm not letting go.
I'm not letting go. No.
Everybody I've talked to that knew Elvis said something similar, that he really was a sweetheart of a guy.
Oh
He really
yeah.
was a caring,
Yeah.
empathetic, compassionate, witty, funny person, right?
Yeah, he was very sweet to me. I was only there for 2 days, but he treated me with such respect. And like I say, I grew up thinking Elvis was, out of this world. So it was quite an honor to meet him and have him be so nice.
To be
He
so
was so
nice,
sweet.
which confirmed everything that you had hoped, which
Yeah,
I think is fantastic.
yeah.
And Racerhead was back in 1977, and Buddy Buddy and Human Highway and Reconcile Differences and Euphoria and Journey to the Center of the Earth, Tremors, Twin Peaks, Fire Walk with Me, Dark Angel, Slums of Beverly Hills, Desert Sun, Puppy Love, Tremors 3, Back to Perfection, The Inner Circle, Mayfly. And that is just part of the filmography. Folks, as
Yeah.
far as television, she's been a part of our lives for all of these years on the big screen and the small screen television. My Three Sons. She was Maybelle on Bachelor Father.
Bachelor father, yeah.
Yes, John Forsythe and company, and he was a terrific actor too. Of course, he went on to
Oh,
Dynasty and all of these great
yeah.
roles. You played Anne in Hawaii Five-O and Iris in Gunsmoke. You were in Bonanza. Then came Bronson and Gunsmoke
That was
again.
fun too. Yeah.
Then came Bronson.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you were
that was
Lori. Yep.
yeah. Huh?
You were Lori in Then Came Bronson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, yeah, and flew me across country to work for a couple of days. But every time I would work with an actor that I recognized, I was in almost disbelief that it was happening to me. I was such a fan of television, and I admired these actors so much that it was like, oh my God, I get to work with, you know, whoever it was that time.
Absolutely. And you're one of those people yourself for others, which is an amazing thing. Gunsmoke again,
Oh my
Mannix
God.
and Bonanza again. Macmillan and Wife, the Waltons, who played
With
Ruth.
Rock Hudson.
Yes, that's
Macmillan and wife
Macmillan
Rock
and
Hudson.
Wife.
Yeah, there's another guy, big movie star, who's so sweet. He was just so accommodating. I was we finished a scene and I was kind of waiting for somebody to tell me the next thing to do. And he came over and he brought up a chair next to him and sat me down. He was just like we'd known each other forever. Such a regular guy.
Right.
He wasn't.
Like the
Well, he was a big movie star, He was a huge movie star, and I was so impressed at how
tall and
sweet he was.
towering, and
Yeah.
the episode you were Sheila, and the episode was Terror Times 2. That was the episode.
Is that the name? Oh,
the name of the episode back in 1972. And then the Waltons, the pilot episode, the Foundling, you were Ruth. The FBI, Cannon, of course, William Conrad. I thought he was terrific in Cannon. Gunsmoke again, Little House on the Prairie again. Also, at the same time, The Nurse Killer, The Imposter, Murder in Peyton Place, Secrets, Mother, Jugs and Speed, The Princess and the Cabbie, Bitter Harvest, Highway to Heaven, 2 episodes, Cindy, Matlock, The Young and the Restless, too, 12 episodes as Tamara Logan. That's in 1986. Did you like to be on the soaps? Was that fun?
I did not. I did not. I wasn't used to being on a soap opera where you didn't break up the scenes. When you're doing a soap opera, it's like live TV where, they shoot it all at one time. I was used to being television where they'd shoot a scene, stop, go sit down while they reset the camera, get up, do the rest of the scene, stop, sit. No, when you're doing a soap opera, they never stop. They shoot the whole thing. So, if I had had more experience, I would have been more comfortable. But it was very difficult for me. I really had a hard time.
So
it was more like being in a play.
Yes.
Nonstop.
Right. A soap opera. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's an interesting experience. And a lot of people that I know that have been in them and or who have been guests here on our show have said the same thing. The scripts are really thick. You got to memorize a lot, and they shoot a lot. They
shoot very fast because they do one whole episode in one day.
In one day,
when we're doing our show, Bonanza or Gunsmoke or whatever, they take 5 to 7 days to shoot an hour show. When you're doing a soap opera, it's all in one day.
Because you have 5 days to fill, and they'll shoot a couple weeks in advance, and it's 30 years of material all these years. And they say if you do make it through the daytime dramas, the soap operas, you can pretty much do anything else because of just the intensity of being on a daytime drama. And if there's a flub of a line or something, they pretty much keep it in because they're rolling, but good experience. And you made it to 12 episodes of The Young and Restless. That's, that is...
How did I do that?
How did she do that? Warm Hearts, Cold Feet. You were the nurse in that in 87. Twin Peaks, of course, Betty Briggs. Cold Case, The Office, and Twin Peaks, The Return, and just the short list of so many things. So if anybody thinks that you were just Miss Beadle, even though you were beloved Miss Beadle, you were so many other characters.
It all came back to me at one point. I was doing a show, a live event across country, and they had printed out I was doing it with a whole bunch of other actors, and they had printed out all of our credits on 8x10 pieces of paper, and then they posted them on the wall with our picture all the way down this hallway. And I was sort of embarrassed because there was my picture and 4 pages of credits taped under my picture because I did a lot of shows. You did a lot of shows
and had the time to write this outstanding book. I know we've talked about it here on the show, but it really is. It's riveting. It's authentic. It is real.
It's a bad girl's guide. Remember
now.
Right on the front, it says A Bad Girl's Guide.
Now, for some people, again, who just know you as the wonderful, loving, compassionate, respectful, and amazing Miss Beadle, this is really an eye-opening book, and it was a labor of love for you to write this.
Yeah.
For those who
Yes.
are going to run out now, get a copy if they don't have one already, and I have mine. Um, what was the inspiration for writing it? And tell us about the book. You really
Well,
reveal and open up so much of your life and your heart to everybody, which is not an easy thing that some can do, but you did it beautifully, Charlotte.
well, I didn't, it was never my intention to write a book. I never thought I was able to, or that I was that interesting to write a book. But here in Napa, I had made friends with a local newspaper man. And he said, and we would get talking, and he said, "Well, you should write a book." I went, "Oh, you're kidding. I barely got out of high school. I can't write a book." He said, "No, just tell stories." And I thought, well, gosh, I do that enough. So that's really what I did. I sat down at my computer and I just thought, okay, I'll talk about the time I, and then, you know what? Within a year, and I worked very hard at it, within a year, I had enough for a book, enough chapters. And we sent it away to the publisher that was interested, and they made a contract like that. Next thing I knew, it was published, and I'm still in shock, really, that that I was able to do that because I was a terrible student in high school. I never did my exams very good, and but this was about my life, and I made a lot of mistakes in my life, and that's why it's called a bad girl's guide, because you recover from your mistakes and you move on and you learn lessons. So that's what I shared, was the lessons I learned. So sit down and learn about Miss Beadle, the real Miss Beadle.
Did you have a Miss Beadle in your life? Did you fashion the character? And of course, they wrote the character a certain way, and you're performing the character and what they want. But
I did copy my sister.
your
My sister,
sister,
Barbara Jean, she was 9 years older than me. She had 7 children. So I literally grew up with her children. And I saw how she handled a room full of seven children of all ages, from babies to teenagers. So I took that experience, and I told my sister when I got the part of Miss Beadle, "I'm going to play you." She went, "Oh, what do you mean? What do you mean?" I said, "No, your confidence, your love, everything you showed to your children when they were growing up, that's what I'm going to portray as Miss Beadle. She's not perfect, but she's a good woman and she does her best." And that's all I did, really. Michael Landon did the most when, he wrote her, when he wrote the character, because she's only mentioned once in the books. She's mentioned in the very, very beginning. Laura comes home and says, "Oh, Miss Beadle, she wears lemon verbena," which is a wildflower in the Old West. And now my
right?
husband makes lemon verbena cologne after Miss Beadle.
Really?
Yeah,
Is that something that's for sale publicly?
yeah,
Where
yeah.
can you
If
get
you
that?
order a book, you can also order lemon verbena.
You get it with it too? Wow. That is cool. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
See, this is a very creative family we're talking to here.
Well, that's my husband. My husband is very creative.
The book itself, you really write about the experience of making the show, of course, and the challenges and the joys and sometimes turbulent behind the scenes relationships, but also at the same time, 50 plus years in film and television offering a backstage pass to Hollywood's cocaine fueled 1960s, 70s, and 80s, too. And of course, you talk about your celebrated work in Eraserhead, later work as Betty Briggs, and of course, that highly rated television series we talked about, Twin Peaks. It's funny, a lot of people, it's an interesting thing. I get a lot of people that tell me, and maybe it's the English Irish thing, um, the younger version of Kyle MacLachlan, people will say, "Jim, you look like you could be related to Kyle
You do.
MacLachlan,
Yes, you do. You do look
right?
like you could be,
From
like you
Twin
could be
Peaks."
brothers. Yeah,
Like we could to Kyle MacLachlan, who was
yeah.
on Twin Peaks and Desperate Housewives, and again, it's got to be maybe that English Irish connection or something.
Could
But
be.
you
I'm
talk
English
about that.
Irish too.
Yeah, of
My
course
my
you
mother
are.
was my mother's family was Fagan, which is very Irish, and my father, of course, is Stewart, so is very English and Scottish. So I'm a blend of those islands there.
That's right. Do you crave potatoes like I do?
I love them,
Yeah.
absolutely.
There's something in it. It's we're built for potatoes. It's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's just,
yeah.
I
Well,
like rice, I
I
like
grew up on a
pasta.
ranch. My dad
Yeah,
he grew prunes and peaches, and we called them almonds, but they're called almonds. We had almond farm. I grew up with that. Every day I could walk out my door and pick a peach off the tree and eat it. Yep,
that
easily.
that is fun.
I was a
So
farm girl.
so did that help you with taking on the role on a series like Little House on the Prairie, the
Oh,
understanding of the
I think so.
nuances?
Yeah, I knew the basics. I knew what it was like to live on a farm and not live in a town and not live in a city and not have any conveniences whatsoever. You had to make do as best you could because we lived way out in the country. And yeah, I think it helped that I had had that experience. Yeah, for sure.
That's fantastic. I
And I
mean,
appreciated how hard it is to work on a farm. So when Pa's out there plowing the field, my father was out there plowing the field. I knew what that was like. So I grew up that way.
exactly. In your book, you also recall working with the leading men from Jimmy Stewart to Elvis Presley, Kevin Bacon, working with Kyle MacLachlan as well. And you
Mhm.
detail offstage friendships with Neil Young and Joni Mitchell, as well as
Yeah.
the relationships and flings with some of TV and film's biggest names and music's biggest names as well, like John Voight, Richard Dreyfuss, Tim Considine, Bill Murray, Jim
How about
Morrison.
Jim Morrison? Yeah. Well, I had when I was before got Little House on the Prairie. I've sewn. I was a sewer. I've sewn all my life. Like I told you, I did roller skating, and I had to make my own costumes. So I had a little clothing store called the Liquid Butterfly in Hollywood, and it was in the same building as the managers for Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Jim Morrison. They were all my friends. They came in my store every day. So these were my working friends.
That's really amazing. And again, the book really is a page turner, and everybody loves, reading it. It's really the story of you being a survivor, right? 6 years,
Absolutely.
after that career making role of Little House on the Prairie, you actually lost everything, right? Which might surprise
I did.
people.
Yeah, I did. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. I wasn't very careful with money. So I hit my skids. Um, but you know what? I'm a survivor, and I've always had a good family background. I've had a lot of support from friends. So when I kind of got into troubled life, I reached out and they helped me. And I ended up I worked until I was 65. I worked solid, as you know, from my credits. And then I decided that I had had enough. And I called my agent when I turned 65 and I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore because I can't remember my lines. And I was not going to do that to other actors or a director on a set where they had to keep stopping and stopping. And, I had worked with actors that did that. And so I retired at 65. And now that's almost 20 years ago. I'm going to be 85 next year. And I've never had
No
more fun.
way.
Yeah, I'll be 85. And I've never had more fun in my life.
Isn't that fantastic to be able to say that and you feel good and you have a lot of
Yeah.
energy and
I
still a
walk
lot of
every day. I walk a mile and a half every
yes,
day.
you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
And is there a certain routine as far as sleeping? Do you try to get the 8 hours a day?
I do that naturally. Yeah. I
Oh,
don't
you're
stay up
lucky.
very late. But like I say, I do my mile and a half every day. I take a
That's so
nap every
great.
afternoon. That's really important. Both my husband and I do that. We have our nap time. And in fact, this is my nap time.
So we're using her. She is so dedicated to being on the Jim Masters show. She loved being here last time and the time before, that she's using her nap time
My
to
nap
spend that
time.
time with us. See, you really are a kind-hearted pro. I tell you, you really are. Her nap
That's
time.
right.
Well, I'm glad it's not the dinner time. You like
Well,
to
I don't
cook?
cook. My
I was
husband
going to
does all
say
the
it.
cooking. No,
He
I
does the
lucked
cooking.
into, I married a cook, and he is so good that I don't even, he does all the shopping and all the cooking. Of course, I do all the housework and, do all of that. So we share the jobs. And that's really important. I think in a relationship, I'm not just going to kick back and let him do it all.
How did
No,
you
I do
guys
my
meet?
share, but I don't cook anymore at all.
Not at
I
all.
don't think I could boil an egg. And I used to have a catering company back
That's
when I
right.
was doing, yeah, when I was doing the soap opera. I used to cater their parties, and that would be like for 40, 50 people. I could do
Hmm.
that. Now I can barely boil an egg. So life changes.
How did you guys meet?
Oh, oh, Michael and his sister married my brother. So I had known him many, many years before, and I used to come up here to Napa, where we live now, and visit family. And I'd see Michael at family reunions because his family married my family.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then one day he showed up at my door with this little dog in his arms, and it happened that we were both free. My husband had just died, and his wife had just died, so we were alone. And I said, well, why don't we get together and have coffee and we'll catch up? Well, he came over and never went home.
That must have been some pretty good coffee.
Oh my God. My God. No, no, we're good. We were always good friends, but now we're better friends.
Do you know, isn't that wonderful that
Yeah.
that's was established first, the friendship and,
Hmm.
respect for one another. And that's fantastic. I'm so
And
happy
it's fun
for you.
because now for the holidays, I mean, our families know each other so well. So we used to spend holidays together before all that, so now it's even closer.
That
So
is so wonderful. Yeah, I'm just so happy for you, Charlotte. That's
me too.
wonderful, sweet spot and a wonderful place to be because you've worked so hard and you've given
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much, to the public in so many years in so many ways. And absolutely, I'm very
And
happy
we both
for you.
stay very, very busy. I don't know if I mentioned it, but Michael does meteorites, rocks from space, stars in space. That's his specialty, meteorites. And we do gem and mineral shows where he sells
Wow,
those.
those are
And then I do
beautiful.
I do all my beetle bags. So I sew every day while he's doing his rocks. And we've never been busier. It's just amazing. We had a show canceled this weekend because it's pouring rain here. And, to try to set up for a show in the rain is ridiculous. So we decided to stay home. So we're kind of catching up for in the next couple of weeks.
Of course, the holidays are fast approaching as
Yeah, they
well. And
are. Yeah.
we're talking to some of the other guests as far as how they celebrate their Thanksgiving, their Christmas, their holidays. What are some of the traditions that you have for the holidays, Charlotte?
Well, Christmas Eve we spend with my family. Christmas Day we spend with his family. So that's my sister has always had Christmas Eve, and so we go there. And then Christmas Day we spend with. Well, his sister just passed away, so I don't know what we're going to do there this weekend. I mean, this year, because life changes so quickly. But yeah, we always spend it with family. I'm already planning what I'm going to make for people, and you know celebrate.
Lots of sewing and sewing and sewing.
Lots
Yeah,
of sewing. Yes, lots of sewing.
that is fantastic. That is wonderful. And to make the gifts, from the heart
Hey,
in that
I
way.
used to make cowboy shirts. I should make you a cowboy shirt.
I didn't know you did that.
Oh
Really?
yeah, and when I had my store, the Liquid Butterfly, I made cowboy shirts and peasant dresses, the long dresses like on Little House on the Prairie. But the cowboy shirts is a specialty of mine.
How long did you have the store for?
Oh gosh, about only about 2 years, because then I got Little House on the Prairie and I didn't have time to do it anymore, so I sold it to my partner. But it was called the Liquid Butterfly. very hip, right, in the
Mhm.
70s to have a liquid butterfly store.
I mean, it's cool. It's fantastic, right? Do do you miss that? Did you like that sort of, the
Oh, I
retail and
did. I
customers and
did. We used to,
yeah.
we were on Santa Monica Boulevard in
Mm.
Hollywood,
Mhm.
and we were very popular. People, we always had a store full of people, coming in, and um, yeah, they took pictures for Time magazine one day. This lady came in and she said, I understand, it's before Little House on the Prairie, so it wasn't like I was an actor that everybody knew or anything. But she came in, she wanted to take pictures of my clothes and my cowboy shirts, and and then when they put it in Time magazine, it was only a picture of my clothing store's sign, the liquid butterfly. I was very disappointed I didn't
It's
get in
like
Time magazine.
I was gonna say the sign, right? That is funny.
Isn't
Uh,
that very hippie, the liquid butterfly?
it really is. It's
I
very,
know.
very cool.
Sounds
Yeah.
like we were all stoned all the time, but we weren't. No smoking in my store,
No
okay?
smoking in her store or in her classroom. There will be no smoking in her classroom, boys and girls. Um, we dug up some other really fantastic photos of you. This is
Now
really
that I don't even know when that was. That was
that
way
is a
before Little House
beautiful shot.
because they
Yeah.
cut my bangs for Little House, and I in this picture I don't have any bangs, so that had to be before
Yeah,
Little House on the Prairie.
it is a beautiful shot, and so is this one.
And I think that one was from Bonanza. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah, a
Yeah.
wonderful shot, and so is this.
Oh,
I love
yeah.
it. You
That
you
was
you
for some fan magazine.
you have so many different looks over the years too, which I think is fantastic as well. Do you when you look at your body of work and all the amazing things that you have done all these
I
years,
was lucky. I was lucky.
is the role with Little House on the Prairie the role that you look at as
Well, that's the one I'm best known for.
known for,
Was
right?
Miss Beadle. Yeah, it was the longest, but yeah, as you saw from my credits, I did a lot of television. I was working all the time, but when I got the part of Miss Beadle on Little House, I had to give up working on other shows because I think they wanted an exclusive at that time. So I didn't do anything during that time. But afterward, I'm trying to remember all this. I'd have to look at the dates on my work because I worked Little House from 1973 to 78, and then I don't remember what my credit. I didn't pay much attention, but I was always working. It seemed like until I decided to quit at 65, and that was 20 years ago.
Like I was saying, even during Little House on the Prairie, you were doing other things
Only
too.
once, only once.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
had to ask Michael's permission. I did a movie of the week,
Is that
uh,
Murder in Peyton Place?
Murder in Payton Place. Yeah, I did.
Yes.
I did that. It's the only thing I ever did while I was doing Little House because they wanted me exclusively.
They
So
wanted you there, right,
yeah,
exactly. We're like, "We're not
yeah. But
letting
I
her
did
go."
ask Michael. He was very sweet. It turned out that was a week I didn't have any Little House to do, so he let me go do it.
If somebody came to you now and said, "We have a role on a series or on a show," would you be interested in that? Or you've
No,
done what
I'm
you've done and
the
you're
reason.
happy where you are?
No, I'm happy where I am. But the reason I quit was my memory. I couldn't remember my lines very well. And I'm not going to do that to a director or a co-star where they have to keep stopping and redoing and stopping redoing. I acknowledge that I had a problem with my memory and I wasn't, so that's why I retired. And like I say, I've never been busier. I'm on the road all the time with Little House or with my husband's work. So we're constantly traveling. So there you go.
Maureen in Arizona is asking, and we welcome all of the viewers. We're actually live right now. We're on the
Oh,
East
good.
Coast in New York, and she's there in California with our audience watching around the world. Maureen wanted to know, how did you come up with the name, the liquid butterfly? I love it.
Oh, well, my partner, Danny, woman, her name is Danny, had already named it. and she was overwhelmed. She needed to do a lot of other things, so she asked me if I wanted to be a partner. So I didn't come up with the name. My partner did. But the Liquid Butterfly was on Santa Monica Boulevard, and we were very popular there, especially with actors, because I used to make my cowboy shirts there all the time.
Wow. The celestial harpist is watching, and she said, Charlotte, it was so lovely to meet you in Connecticut. I'm so glad you liked the picture I drew for you.
Oh, yes, thank you so much. I so appreciate when somebody takes the time to do something artistic thank you. God bless you for that. Keep it up, okay? You're really good.
Isn't that fantastic
Yeah,
when
she's really
people
good.
people do things like that
Yeah.
for you? Yeah, I mean, that's really an amazing, amazing thing. There's been a number of people that have been talking about things like that as well, and that they've loved everything that you've done. And Pam remembers the Loretta Young show, and when you
Mhm.
were a part of that,
I
which,
did 3 episodes of the Loretta Young Show. The very first one was with Loretta Young, and then she had me back for 2 more episodes, but she wasn't in them. She had guest stars all the time. So it was not a series. It was a, I don't know what you call it, where they did a different type of show every episode. Audrey Totter played my mother in one episode. I don't know if you remember her. She was a very well-known actress back there in the 60s. And so each show was different.
also, one of the other folks that's watching here, and again, wonderful words coming in. Pam saw you on Gunsmoke with her mother and Bonanza. They're pointing out all the different shows over the
Yeah, I
many
did
years.
three episodes of Bonanza, but I never worked with Michael Landon. I think because if you're on a television series like Michael was on Bonanza, you
Yeah.
watch every episode. And I was
Yes.
on 3 episodes of Bonanza playing different characters in every episode. So he must have seen me before I ever went into audition for Little House. And it didn't occur to me until much later that I'm sure he saw me because he watched the shows, you know?
Absolutely right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Which is so you think that that's how they probably spotted you was from
It could have been.
then.
But did you
Yeah.
ever hear about my audition for Little House on the Prairie?
Tell us about it.
I didn't know what I was auditioning for. I was called in to Paramount Studios to audition for an episode, play a teacher in a Western. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything else. And I walk into the audition, and the first person I see is Michael Landon. And he's sitting in the back of the room. And my brain just went, holy moly, this is big immediately. And this room full, there were like 20 men in folding chairs, and the producer sitting at a big desk at the end of the room. And I said to the producer, because I was reading for a teacher, I said, may I sit behind your desk? The room was like, how can she, what? And he said, of course. And he got up and moved. And I walked all the way to the end of the room, and I turned and sat down at his desk. And all these men were going, "Ah, ah, ah," and I went, quiet. Got me the part.
That's exactly what they wanted. And they didn't make a peep for the rest of the day.
No.
They just sent out contracts. Wow, right?
Long ones too, long contracts. Yeah,
Long contracts with fine print, lots of fine print. You need a magnifying glass to read it all. Wow, what a fantastic way to end up on that series.
I know. Well, I
You
didn't know.
nailed it.
I did it instinctively, you know. I don't know what made me do that, but I'm sure that's what got me the part. So I took control.
You
Bam.
t you took control, exactly. It's been really wonderful that so much of the cast has been getting
Oh yeah.
together, at these reunions, Little House on the Prairie. This is from the 50th, but it's over 50
And
years now
all
as
the way at
well.
the end, all the way over to the left, you can see me.
That's right, you're right there, and, yeah, they've been getting together for, a lot of these different gatherings, and I just
Oh,
think,
we have so much fun. We travel all over the country,
yeah,
meeting
you are.
meeting fans. Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah, it's just to see everybody coming together in the way that they have been, I think is really amazing. A lot of shows don't do that, anymore. And
Well, a lot of shows haven't lasted as long as we did,
right,
you know.
exactly. Yeah.
And now
Eh,
we go through generations of fans. We have the great grandmothers now, and the grandmothers and the mothers and the children, and now the new kids that are seeing, Little House on the Prairie for the first time. So we're spanning generations.
some of the other cast were saying, like, Rachel and Sydney Greenbush, who were Lindsay, as well as Jennifer Donati and others, and even Wendy and Tracy, Victor and Tracy French, and Wendy Lou Lee when she was on the show, that people come up to them now too, and they'll say, I got through alcoholism. I got through cancer. I got through the loss of a family member or some
Mhm.
other thing that has happened in my life
Absolutely.
because of watching and being so connected to the experience of Little House on the Prairie, which
Hmm.
is beautiful to hear that for people, fans, viewers, all these years to share that. I bet you've heard that over the years too, huh, Charlotte?
Absolutely. I hear it quite often. And just the fact that we've been on the air for 50 years has covered a lot of territory, and I know a lot of the shows have rerun and rerun and rerun, but it doesn't matter. You can watch an episode of Little House on the Prairie and it's like it was yesterday because we were an old show when we were on for the first time because we're a period show. If it was a modern show, we go, oh, yeah, they look like they're in the 50s, because you could tell. But when you do a classic Western, it's the same show all the time, you know? That's what made us different because we
Right.
were we were in the same period all the time.
It was familiar, and when they would hear the theme
The
song, and
theme
when
song, yeah.
yes, and Lindsay would come down and fall into the into the weeds and flowers, and yeah, which they said the other night that that was not planned. It
It
just
wasn't
happened,
planned. No,
and they
they kept
kept
it
it.
in when they kept it in when they saw what happened. Yeah, when they saw it on the dailies, they went, "Oh, that's the entrance to the show," with that little girl falling down a hill. Yeah, absolutely.
Could you have ever thought when you first started out that your career and life and these experiences would be what they are and still
And
remain, Charlotte?
I had no idea. I'm so grateful. I'm grateful every single day. I'm grateful for all the people that I got to work with, all the people that I got to meet, just the way it's led me through my life, because that's always come first. My work has been very important to me. And I had a problem with alcohol for quite a long time. And I went through, I'm still in recovery, because you're always in recovery. Once you quit, you're in recovery, but I've had so much support from fans, from my family, from friends that I'm so fortunate. It could have ended badly, but here I am.
The love of family and people who care about you
Hmm.
and
We all
support
make
you.
mistakes. That's it. That's
Absolutely.
human. We're
Right.
human beings. We're not perfect. So, if you have a problem, look for help. Ask your friends what they think you should do. Ask your mother, your family, your friends, your sister, your brother, because they love you and they want to help you.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it's such an inspiring message and so important for people to hear because a lot of people are hurting. And that's why getting together in the way that you guys do with the cast reunions and events with Little House on the Prairie, like the one that's coming up in California during the holiday time. This one
Simi
here is
Valley.
going to be very, very special.
Yeah.
That is a special place, isn't it?
Yep. Yeah. Oh, it's quite beautiful. I if you've never been to Simi Valley, you're going to be amazed. And they have all the sets still there. They rebuilt the town of Walnut Grove, so you can go through it yourself.
And so many people, and there's more than on this list too. They've added more. Rachel and Sydney Greenbush are going to be there. I believe Todd Bridges, who was Solomon Henry, is going to be
Oh, Todd.
there, and Tracy Savage is going to be there as well. And but look at the familiar faces that everybody
Mm-hmm.
recalls from this beloved and iconic series, Little House on the Prairie. Here it is, folks. This is coming up at Strathern Historical Park, which is a terrific place. And if you want to get
1 month
tickets,
away. It's only 1 month away.
yeah, and tickets they say are very limited, right? They are
Yeah.
very, very limited and going quickly. So you'll meet Charlotte and Allison and Dean and all of them, which this is a big, big, big thing because you don't usually have this many cast still available, still here, and still accessible
Yeah.
in the way that you will with this incredible event. Right on the screen, there's your opportunity to get the tickets, limited. And if you're watching this a year from now, this will have passed, but still, just to know that this is something that
And
they've
and
done for you.
we will all have souvenirs for you to buy. I will be bringing my Beetle bags. They will have books. We'll have all kinds of treasures that are familiar from Little House on the Prairie. You know, besides meeting us and shaking our hand and have a picture taken with us, all that will happen.
Right. And I heard Santa Claus is going to be there as
No.
well. Yeah.
Oh no.
Santa
Oh boy, I can hardly wait.
is that? Yeah, it's a 3-day event. It'll feature meets and greets, autograph sessions, holiday photo opportunities, screenings of classic episodes, and the documentary Little House Homecoming, family activities, including tree trimming, caroling, visits with Santa Claus, tours of Strathern's historical buildings, and VIP ticket holders also enjoy priority access, gifts, exclusive events, and so much more. And there's a Friday holiday party and a Sunday breakfast with the cast. Very nice. Very, very nice.
Great.
That is so
Jim,
good.
thank you so much for all your help. And
Ah,
it's
the pleasure
so
is
nice
all
to see you
mine.
again. And I'll see you out there, right? You're going to be with us?
Yes, it's going to be absolutely amazing, my friend, truly. And I just want to say, because I know a lot of people have been commenting that they saw you at some of these events as well. And you when I saw you at the one in Connecticut, I treasure this photo very much. There was like I don't know 50 people on the line, and you just somehow just at the right time leaned over and you spotted me and you pointed like Miss Beadle and said, "Come right over here." And you were so I was just when I was there, I was watching everybody and the interactions that everybody was having,
Mhm,
you and Allison and all the rest. And you guys were so gracious, so loving. You stayed till every last person was
mhm,
there.
mhm.
So excited to see you, all of the super fans. And that's just a reflection of who you are, Charlotte. You really are a
Thank you.
superstar in the industry, but you're a fabulous person with a big, big heart. And I truly hope you'll come see us again. Like I said last time, keep the porch light on for you. It's
You know
always
where to
on for you,
find me.
Charlotte.
That's it. You know where to find me.
One other thing before we go, people have been asking, where can we go to get the Beetle bags? Is there a website or somewhere they can
You
go?
know, the reason I don't have a website is I don't have time. I'm busy making beetle
You're
bags.
making them. So
So
can they get some?
if you can get my email,
Yeah.
I'm kind of reluctant to put out an address
No,
because
yeah,
I get so much and I
yeah,
won't have time to do anything else. But maybe
but
we'll post something for your fans where they
yeah,
can, you know,
we'll
so they
we'll
can know.
we'll get that information and get
Yeah.
that along because people have been asking about that. You are a blessing, and truly, it's an honor to have you back with us. Congratulations on everything as well, and happy holidays too. And I hope
Thank
you
you.
enjoyed the time with me once again, as I have with you, Charlotte.
Thank you. Anytime, Jim. Anytime.
The pleasure is all mine. Big kiss to you, Charlotte. You
Okay.
be
God bless
well.
you.
God bless you as well. Take care and be well. And thanks for being with us on the Jim Masters Show.
Okay.
We love you. Bye bye now.
Bye.
She's going back to sewing. Her light started to get dim, so she has to get some more lighting so she can finish sewing all the things she's doing. I think she's making Christmas gifts too for the family and friends, which is nice. What a great conversation. Joining Charlotte Stewart once again here in Lovety Hall, the Jim Masters Show, as we call it. And let's take a look at some of the comments that have been coming in as well. We love seeing all these comments. The show is live. Charlotte was here live, but this will be archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. And if you enjoyed this episode and all the ones that we present to you here on our unique entertainment lifestyle celebrity talk show series, The Jim Masters Show, be sure and give us a thumbs up, drop a comment below. What's your favorite episode with Miss Beadle, with Charlotte Stewart? Or maybe you remember her from Eraserhead and Twin Peaks and all these other great series. And yeah, a lot of people do say Kyle MacLachlan and I have a certain similarity to our look, especially the profile, maybe. But really, she is a genuine person. She's a sweetheart of a person and a true professional and a celebrated actress extraordinaire who's been a part of our lives all of these years. Let's take a look at some of the comments from our viewers. Maureen in Arizona, hello to you. And Pam watching in Maryland, USA. Good to see you as well. She says hello to me and to Ms. Stewart. And you saw her on Gunsmoke. Yeah, of course. And Kathleen in New York says hello as well. And Maureen again. And Kathleen's welcoming Charlotte, some of our regular faithful Jim Masters Show loveties. And also Kay Sudowski says, I was there in Connecticut that day. And oh, that's fantastic. So you got a photo too as well. And there were a lot of people there. You are right. And Charlotte was lovely. Such a sweetie. She really, really is. And Crystal Nolan watching in Connecticut, USA as well. Hi, Jim and Loveties. Oh boy, I hope you are happy because this was an amazing conversation once again with Charlotte. She is a wonderful person and she's a great friend of the Jim Masters Show. And we love having her here. Pam, love that comment coming in from Maryland, USA as well. And look at all these great comments coming in here. You enjoyed Charlotte's autobiography. It is a keeper. It really is a page turner. Indigo 453. She'll be very happy to hear that. And she sees all these comments too, as well, you know. So she's very pleased to see all of this. And Bonanza, you remember from Bonanza as well. That's fantastic. And let's see, Sue is saying hello. And you're all fellow enthusiasts. That's fantastic. And let's see. Oh, yeah, the Hungry Eyes. You remember that as well, Pam? Mm-hmm. It's another fantastic one. And I love these comments. This is really fantastic. Pam's really been posting away here. And this is in our Lovety Hall chat room. And you know, this is nice. Maureen in Arizona says, you know, how Charlotte said that she really enjoyed working with all the many fabulous people in the industry she did. Maureen says, I'm quite sure everyone was just as excited to get to work with you, Charlotte. Isn't that so true? Absolutely right. And Chris is excited that Miss Beadle is here. Absolutely. And just a plethora of great comments coming in. Thank you so much. Wow. Sue says, yep, it sounds like a great book. Her autobiography. Absolutely. Get it. And we'll pull that up on the screen again. There it is, folks. You know, you can go to all the places where books are, Amazon and Barnes & Noble, all the rest, and get her book. You will absolutely love it. It's always widely talked about, and it's truly, she's open and she's real and she's a page turner. The Celestial Harpist, it was great hearing from you. Thanks posting that comment, which Charlotte got a chance to see. Pam says, I love peacoat dresses. That's cool. And and a lot of you asked different questions, which we answered for you as well. And Curly asks, hi, Miss Beadle. Do I need to stand in the corner? No, you can sit and watch our show. She won't make you stand for this one. Sue Prov says the cast of Little House are so nice, and also the Waltons, and she was on the Waltons she mentioned as well. She had the opportunity to work with that wonderful cast, Michael Leonard and company, Judy Norton, who have been guests here on our show as well. Maureen says, Charlotte, you are simply the most beautiful human. I have so much respect for you. Right there with you, Maureen in Arizona. Absolutely. And that's wonderful, huh? Pam says, thank you, Jim and Ms. Stewart. You are welcome. Thank you both. Charlotte and I thank you for being a part of this. Maureen also says this was such a fun conversation. Thank you for coming back to Levity Hall, Charlotte. We call this Levity Hall, Light, Love, and Levity. God bless you, Charlotte, from Maureen and Kathleen as well. Great having you here with us again, Charlotte. And a gift. This was a gift. Well, I'm very happy that you're enjoying our series, our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series. Sue, it's a gift to have you with us. We appreciate our fans and viewers here at the Jim Masters Show big time. And thank you very much. I really appreciate that. You guys are terrific. Again, there is a fabulous cast reunion. There are some added folks, Todd Bridges, Tracy Savage, Sidney Greenbush, and others are going to be there as well. And it's coming up in December. We've been talking about this with each of the wonderful guests. And this is in Simi Valley, California, Strathern Historical Park. And it's going to be beautiful at holiday time. Tickets are limited, going fast. It's going to be a once in a lifetime event. And you get a chance to share memories and the holidays and Santa Claus and all these other fantastic things that are happening. Again, Charlotte Stewart really is an American treasure. Television, film, everything you can think of. Decades of shows and smiles and heartwarming stories, stories that get us to think, stories that get us to remember and share. And again, it was an honor to have an opportunity to have her back here on our series that we call the Jim Masters Show. We love having you guys here as well. We thank Charlotte Stewart for joining us and sharing some more great memories of not only Little House on the Prairie, but also telling us some nuggets about her own life and her own career. Of course, everybody remembers her as Miss Beadle, the wonderful Miss Beadle on the series, but there's so much more to the Charlotte Stewart story. And we're so happy to have shared some of it with her and you here on the Jim Masters Show. Gang, thanks for being with us, watching our series as often as you do. We love having you here. Spread the word. This is archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Of course, give it a thumbs up, like, and drop a comment below. Share what's some of your favorite memories of Little House on the Prairie and all the other wonderful things that Charlotte's been a part of. YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV, where you can see this episode, share it, and subscribe to the channel and all the rest. And we love having you here. Don't forget to love one another, take care of one another, and don't forget to do the very same for yourself. Come see us again. Stay right there. Another great episode of the Jim Masters Show comes up next. Till then, for all of us, thanks for being with us. We love you all, and cheers.